This is DJ Sentiment Emily, and you're listening to Subtext on Threads Radio.
Hello Berlin, and welcome to the live art show with me, Becky O'Brien, aka Hunted for Sport. Thank you so much, Subtext, for having me on. It's great to be part of this weekend pop-up. I'm coming to you from London, where I am quarantining like everyone else. So please stay the fuck home, everybody. That was Sad Bitch by Arca, and before that we had Coil with Going Up. So this is the live art show where we talk about live art, which is quite a UK term, but encompasses performance art, experimental dance, noise art, experimental theatre, visual art, etc. And as well as music by live artists. I'll have an interview with the artist Joseph Morgan Schofield on their practice, queer ritual and the London performance scene. But right now, we're going to be taking it up the tempo a bit with Better in My Day by Gazelle Twin.
Much better in my day,
Holly Herndon with Eternal. Before that, we had Wanna Sip by Fever Ray. If you've just tuned in, you're listening to The Live Art Show with me, Becky O'Brien, aka Hunted for Sport. And we're going to go into a live interview now with the amazing performance artist, curator and producer Joseph Morgan Sheffield. Alrighty. Thank you very much for doing this. So just first ask, how did you first get into performance?
I got into performance because I had an academic interest in it, and I didn't think of myself as an artist. And I went to uni, to Queen Mary in London to do my MA. And there I was given the opportunity to make performance. It was either kind of do a Shakespeare class or do the performance making class. And I had so little interest in doing a Shakespeare class. And that was with Julia Bardsley, who's just like a warrior queen of performance art, and a really incredible, fascinating properly weird artist in like the most interesting kind of way, whose work just makes you kind of second guess everything you thought, and it's really stunning and poetic and dark, and just kind of through the process of being around her and taking that class, it was kind of an accident. I started making work and thinking about this way of using my body, and through that I realised that I was prepared to do things with my body that other people weren't, and that I found that to be a productive and useful way of working and way of thinking about things and way of articulating things, and it just carried on from there. Whilst I was there, I also worked with Martin O'Brien and Stacey McKeishi and Lois Weaver, who were kind of another 3 tremendous mentors. So I was very lucky to have access to that group of people at that particular point in my life and development, when things still felt possible.
Yeah. And so when you say you had like an academic interest, so you didn't kind of come from like a strong theatre background, let's say, or fine art background, I guess the way a lot of other kind of performance artists do.
No, I'd kind of there was a point in my life where I thought I wanted to be an actor, but I did apply for drama schools, but I was horrible. Just the most awful. So obviously didn't get accepted. So I did a drama course on my undergraduate, but it was very kind of theory based, and I was very interested in kind of in the explicit body and performance, but from a kind of academic and research angle. Yeah,
great. And so you are just on the tail end of 4 performances in one weekend of your new piece. So you've got 2 different names for it. So it's Here Comes the Sun, and what is the other name?
So Here Comes the Sun is the name of the show, the full show. We'll say it's a 60-minute text-led performance art ritual. And then I sort of remixed elements of that for another performance that I did this weekend that I can't exactly remember what I called in the copy for it, but it was something to do with haunted desire. Which is because the whole project is about memory and desire and land, and the way that the body is either a part of that or is abstracted from that or distant from it or close to it.
And you talked before about in your writing about it, about trans survival and eco survival. So how did you begin your research for that?
I became aware through lived experience and conversations with friends and peers of a kind of twin imperative, or kind of 2 parallel imperatives that exist in our society. One being the dominant model of ecological discourse currently is centred around producing less, consuming less, reducing ourselves, reducing how much space we take up and the things that we're able to do. This idea of sacrifice, of in some senses of austerity. I think there's a link between this kind of drive and policies of austerity. So there's on the one hand there's this lessening in terms of ecological survival, and then on the other hand for trans and gender non-conforming and queer people, a similar sort of imperative is often levelled at you to if you want to survive or you want to get through the day or you don't want any trouble on the street, to be smaller, to be less loud, to take up less space, to be less visible, to assimilate more. So again, it's a kind of so to me it seems that that's kind of proposing a scarcity of queerness or a scarcity of gender. So I was interested in what a queer politics that refuted that absolutely was. So it's a kind of thinking about ideas of excess, of allowing ourselves to envision modes of production and consumption that are not ecologically damaging, but are not rooted in ideas of sacrifice or scarcity. I was interested to not surrender to scarcity.
Okay, sorry, I'm just making sure that it's recording. Do you think like there's a link between like kind of playing, like being asked to play down kind of being trans or being queer, and the kind of playing down of like kind of the the fact that there is kind of ecological disasters happening, you know, in terms of like to make people more comfortable, not like frightened.
That's interesting. I hadn't quite thought about it in exactly those terms. Do I think that's a parallel that you could draw. Again, what makes people comfortable, what makes the majority of people feel safe.
Yeah.
Burying their heads in the sand, pretending things aren't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure that goes on.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about the text? Did you write that, or is that okay? And is that something that you use a lot, like text in your work?
No, this was normally I make body led work and with blood and practices of body mortification. I guess in this sense, the medium or the form followed what I wanted it to do, and it felt that there was kind of like quite a lot of things that needed to be put into. The thing with the work is that it doesn't really come to any conclusions. It's not like a kind of, it's not one of those sort of like theatrical works where it's like, now the meaning, the message that I want to convey to you, because I don't think. Often I think people that have messages aren't very interesting.
It's a bit arrogant, isn't it?
I think you have to leave space for people to think about things in relation to themselves. But there was quite a lot of research and thinking and reading that went into making the work that I felt that language was and often quite poetic language was the most useful way to articulate the ideas. And I guess I did that through putting things into adjacency and proximity with each other, and seeing where interesting collisions or frictions emerged.
Yeah. And so you used I don't know if you used it for the Camden People's Theatre, but you had it in Deep Trash anyway, the Anony song, which just seems so perfect, like kind of trans artist who I guess quite often talks about kind of ecofeminism and is there other kind of relevant artists like that you used for your research?
What I love about that Anony song, it's called In My Dreams, and it comes from the Paradise EP, and since Anony began calling themselves Anony in their public career, I think that was the name they used for a long time when they were still producing music as Anthony and the Johnsons. But the whole project is kind of centered around this idea of kind of like queer eco-protest electronic music, right? I mean, it's fab. And what I love about that song particularly is that it kind of talks about desire and memory, which really spoke to the concerns of the work. We didn't use that in the Camden People's Theatre show. We had a kind of fully original soundtrack for that, but I thought it was a useful way of getting into the mood or the mode for the club performance. Other really interesting, I guess I was thinking more about kind of theory than artists in making the work, although I think one of the things I was interested in doing was kind of tracing lineages, so lineages as a form of memory. This idea that like, so when ice melts, the history is literally held in the ice, and you can study the ice and you can find out about history, or scientists can. I couldn't. But and the ice is melting, and that history is literally disappearing, and we'll never get it back. So I was kind of interested in what it was for queer histories to disappear. So some of the people we were looking at were kind of heading back. Ron Afey was a touchstone for the work, particularly in his relationship to excess and the writings of George Bataille, who was a surrealist philosopher, who did all these kind of things about the sun and about sex and all kinds of desires in the 30s. Was kind of too surreal even for the surrealists, and was kind of a black sheep in the movement.
Wow.
And Klaus Nomi, who was a singer and a performance artist, active in the kind of 70s and early 80s, who was one of the first relatively famous people to die of HIV-related illnesses in 1983. They were kind of some of the major touchstones. It felt like we couldn't talk about politics of queerness and anything extinction related without thinking about HIV and AIDS, because obviously that was an extinction event within the community, and I think there's all kinds of ways that the resistance to inaction over AIDS. Lessons could be taken from those direct action movements in how we face up to this extinction event that we're facing now. But in terms of kind of other sort of performance artists reading into the subject, I worked with a wonderful artist, Des Morgan, whose work is around makes kind of wonderfully articulate, poetic work around climate and anxiety and queerness. They were the dramaturg on this piece, and whenever you make a solo show, you're never really making a solo show. It's kind of completely informed by by your peers or by the people you're working with, or wonderful, or the people you admire. And they're a really wonderful artist who is all three of those figures to me.
Great.
And we were super kind of interested in sort of xenofeminism, which is a theoretical movement to do with technology in the future in a kind of new materialist, gender abolitionist sense. And I guess we were thinking a lot about kind of accelerationism, which is a form of left-wing thought that kind of, again, posits that technology isn't necessarily bad, and a lot of these discourses around surviving climate apocalypse trade in kind of envisage a return to pastoral or feudal politics,
right?
Which is this kind of like, let's just get back to the land and everything will be okay. Well, that's a kind of ludicrous, privileged viewpoint that trades in all kinds of historical forgettings about what actually feudal politics was and localised politics
what that meant
were.
for most people.
So we were very interested in kind of form in technology and forms of the future that propose radical alternatives that look to the future rather than the past.
Okay, great.
To solve them.
Great. And you wrote just one term that I saw that you wrote that I absolutely loved. You talked about kind of the rubric of individualism being a neoliberal wet dream, which I thought was absolutely amazing. I guess this idea like everything begins and ends with you. So I know you said you don't kind of have a message, but do you have like a desire for yourself on how these things would go forward? Like, like the way, I guess, the Extinction Rebellion, everything's been around London recently, is kind of getting together to do things.
I think collective action is really important. I think, and when people say that it doesn't work, I don't think that's true. I think there are many examples through history where collective action has functioned, has worked. ACT UP saved lives and continues to save lives. The civil rights movement in America worked to an extent. Of course, these things never fully achieve the goals that all the way, and they're continuing fights. But these things do work. I think obviously personal responsibility is important, but I am really suspicious of this notion that if we all just recycled our plastic, then everything would be okay. It's just not true. Like, the problem is capitalism. The problem is white supremacy and the structures that uphold these things. So I'm really wary of that turn to the individual again. I think we are faced with a massive existential problem that can't be fixed by just doing some recycling. You have to overthrow the structures that exist. And I think the stuff with Extinction Rebellion is really important and really great. I think there are problems with it. There are kind of like teething problems within the movement, and I think what's becoming apparent is that this kind of mass movement, whilst many of the people there are using their privilege in useful ways, I think there needs to be some more thought around the relationship of that movement to structures of power. But I think also the fact that people are on the streets, camping out, getting arrested, and this like mass act of civil disobedience is tremendously important and exciting. I just hope that that if these kind of assemblies that they propose happen, that they are founded in properly radical politics that are completely intersectional, not just like climate's the problem, and if we just fix that, then everything else is okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because climate justice is completely bound up in racial justice, in class justice and overthrowing the class system, in economic justice and social justice. and gendered and sexual. Justice is also it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not separable from each other. If you really want to fix them, I don't think.
Yeah, great. And you are also a promoter. You've got 3 projects. So you've got Future Ritual, Move Close, and Live Art Club. So just to start, maybe talk a bit about Future Ritual. So you see it as a queer ritual event. So what in your words is a kind of queer ritual?
A queer ritual could be all kinds of things, and I think one of the things I'm interested in with that project is again about the future. It's called Future Ritual. So it's about how might we use this kind of arcane technology of ritual, of this kind of form that's existed in all kinds of ways for thousands of years. How might we use that to think about the future? But a queer ritual, I think, could be anything from dancing to singing to dragging up to sigil making. To fucking or talking or whatever else it might hold. It would be something that kind of resisted heteronormative values and celebrated kind of queer politics of I have a fab word that I love to use about it, but it's just kind of completely gone out of my head. But kind of celebrates deviance, and uses that as a strategy for all kinds of other things. But it could also be something I think gentle, hard and gentle. In all kinds of things. But with the project, we try and it's kind of very open access. It's kind of however people respond to those ideas, the artists that participate, however they respond, and also the idea that the event itself is kind of the ritual. So they're coming together, they're spending the 3 or 4 hours in the space, they're encountering the works, they're encountering the other people, they're encountering the other things going on in their space. That's the ritual business. Whether a particular performance ticks all those things is sort of by the wayside. The event is the ritual, and then the performances and the art and the chatting are the constituent parts.
And then how do you see the difference when you run your kind of more club night setting? So on that same kind of thread, I guess clubs have been these kind of like self-governing spaces for quite a long time, which is I guess quite important for queer people, especially in London when all the clubs are getting shut down. Places like VFDs are really great. So how do you see that kind of changing the work or changing the structures?
I think in particular relation to VFD, never having to ask permission really to do things there is a really. I mean, if we were there are things we can't do because it's a basement space. We can't have smoke, and you have to be conscious of things like fire or whatever. But generally, just having that kind of permissive space which is a place where the default answer to a question is yes, rather than no, or why would you want to do that? I think it's really valuable. With that project, that's something I do with a group of people with Ez Morgan and Sarah Sassinelli, and we think about that as again, it's about space really. The idea that the club space is a space for transformation, for processing, for communing, and that the performance work that takes place within that and the electronic music that's played are strategies for people to process, to transform, to commune. We also we saw a lot of performance parties in London that, whether they were presenting cabaret or not, kind of followed a sort of cabaret model, where things were announced and emceed, and you would now it's 11 o'clock, so now the 11 o'clock show is on, and everyone stops and watches. And I don't think we've been totally successful yet in breaking down that barrier. I think when something starts happening, people stop and watch generally, but I think we're interested in kind of moving towards more immersive or more unexpected or interruptions or actions within the space.
Great. So just to finish off, you've got some upcoming shows. You've got down in Performance Space in Folkestone.
Yes.
And then you've got in Unshut Festival. Where's Unshut?
Unshut Festival is in Sheffield.
Great.
I think it's a new festival. It's maybe in its second year.
Brilliant.
So we're touring Here Comes the Sun to both of those places.
Amazing.
Which feels exciting, I think. It's a very it's very conscious of its kind of non-binary politics, and I think that's important to I think that's important to do anywhere, but it feels useful to be doing that, not just in London.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Cheers. The incredible artist Joseph Morgan Schofield, thank you so much for being on the show. So grateful to have you. And now, just before we move on to some more music, we're going to have a quick excerpt from Joseph's recent work, because it's an absolutely gorgeous piece.
I was sprinting across the heath, and you were right behind me. And even though it was just a game, it was still thrilling. You chased me into the woods, and I was running so fast, I didn't see the root of an old beech tree, and I tripped, and I fell, and I landed face down in the earth, and you caught up with me. Falling astride my back, pinning me in place, you leant down and put your lips on this inky heather, and then you traced a line down my spine with the tip of your tongue. We could hear the wind in our ears, and you slipped your arm under my chest, and we saw the breeze bending the branches above us, back and forth, and you asked me if I liked it, but my breath was condensing on the dirt, and my attention was caught on this damp little patch of soil, so I didn't answer you. I felt tears running down my cheeks, and I realised it was raining. Thick drops thudding into the ground, and I turned my face and caught your spit, and it tasted metallic, mineral-rich. Isn't it strange that the blossom was out in February? You said, don't worry, it's just high-pressure water, we'll be okay. The wind was picking up, unsettling plastic leaves and chlorophyll bags, and you put your hand on my cheek and pushed me down into the dirt. I could only see with one eye, but it seemed like the forest floor was shifting, and I raised my head again, and there were this pair of old ravens in a tree watching us, beady eyes locked on our fuck, and you said, can you feel it, And there was the rolling sound of thunder, and somehow this gale had arrived, and the raven tree was rocking and bucking. Thick roots rising and falling, and the earth wheezed, and the woods splintered, and the wind wrenched the roots from the ground, flinging soil towards us. The ravens crowed and flew into the sky, which was a deep, deep midnight blue, lit by a brilliant orange sun. Can you feel it? Do you like it? What do you like? What else do you like? What else do you want? You want a slow cook in the freak summer. You want to slake your thirst on a cocktail of acid rain and microplastics. You want to fill in the blanks yourself. Go on. Pick your favourite big-budget, masturbatory, eco-death porn flick. You know, the ones where the beautiful people try to outrun the storm and everyone's dying, but, aren't we gorgeous? I want it, I said. I want it. And I trembled beneath you, and the earth shook beneath us like it was processing its pent-up fury, freeing this dormant energy, and pneumatic machinery punches into the sodden earth, displacing the ground for miles, pummelling and mining a slurry of soil and sweat and crude oil, and we sink under the mudslide, a trophic cascade of apex carcasses. Go on, I said, the polar bears massing in packs on the edge of town. Go on, the jellyfish clogging the reactor. Go on, the jury's chosen another white photographer, aestheticising the tar sands for your favourite white cube. Choose your favourite hostile environment, your favourite one-day delivery service, your favourite sacrifice zone. Choose single-use intimacy, choose shrink-wrapped, vacuum-packed empathy, choose something. Choose the world heating up and feeling melting, choose anything. Choose desolation, choose blame. Choose yourself. And far out to sea, the tides are emulsifying. A sodium scum forms and the ocean bed ruptures, and a pesticide tide swells from my feet, surging up my spine and over the back of my head. Your hands are in my hair as you lift me up, and I'm soaked to the bone and across my face. Go on. It tastes dusty. Go on. And I'm staring at the sun now, and I hear it, screaming on the wind, hurtling towards us, this cosmic load, tracing an opulent line of flight, a vision of excess. An orbital body cracks through the atmosphere, a wound breaks in the heavens, moving far faster than a bullet, far larger than a mountain, far hotter than the sun. The air compresses, and we're lifted from the ground, flung into the sky. The seas have been pushed away from themselves, and everything is scudding towards this hole, and there's a roar as the hole closes up. But I'm out. We're out. Out beyond the earth, out into orbit, and I can feel the heat of the sun on my face. I shield my eyes and return to earth.
That was In My Dreams by Anony. We're going to close up now. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Becky O'Brien, aka Hunted for Sport. This is the live art show. You can usually find me on Threads Radio in London, but thank you so much to everyone at Subtext for having me. If you want to follow any of the stuff I'm doing, I'm at Becky O'Brien Art on any of the social media platforms. We're going to finish now by one of my favourite pieces. This is Oh Superman by Laurie Anderson. Thank you guys.
Oh Superman, oh Judge, oh Mom and Dad, Mom and Dad, oh Superman, oh Judge, oh Mom and Dad, Mom and Dad, Hi, I'm not home right now, but if you want to leave a message, just start talking at the sound of the tone. Hello? This is your mother. Are you there? Are you coming home? Hello? Is anybody home? Well, you don't know me, but I know you, and I've got a message to give to you. Here come the planes. So you better get ready, ready to go. You can come as you are, but pay as you go, pay as you go. And I said, okay, who is this really? And the voice said, this is the hand that takes. This is the hand that takes. This is the hand that takes. Here come the planes. They're American planes, made in America. Smoking or non-smoking? And the voice said, neither snow nor rain, nor blue night shall stay these couriers from swift completion of their appointed round. Cause when love is gone, there's always justice. And when justice is gone, there's always force. And when force is gone, there's always love. Hi, Mom. So hold me, Mom, in your long arms. So hold me, Mom, in your long arms. In your automatic arms. Your electronic arms. In your arms. So hold me, Mom, in your long arms. Your petrochemical arms. Your military arms. In your electronic arms.
Hey, this is Alex Head, founder of Subtext Radio.
This is Subtext.
Please go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button. It really helps us to reach new audiences and promote the artists that we work with. Hit like and hit subscribe.